This is the villain, and it's what you'd call a pro tourer. What starts as a 1968 Mustang has been pushed, pulled, wrapped, replaced, and sped up into what they say is a modern car in an old car suit. The only body panels not to get tweaked are the doors and the roof. The inside gets new seats, wheel, gauges, air conditioning, and an unbelievably loud stereo. It has 6-piston, 14-inch brakes at all 4 corners, a crate engine from the Boss 302, 6-speed gearbox, and a DSE coilover suspension, all that in a package that weighs 300 pounds less than the new Mustang. To build this car yourself would take years and would cost more than sending your kid to Harvard. But you can skip that process because CR Supercars will sell you this one in any color you like for $150 grand.
All right. So, first things first, this is a SEMA car, and that means a couple of things. You know, SEMA car in theory always sounds like a good idea. However, in reality, a lot of these cars are rushed to be finished for SEMA, so they're still a little funky here and there. So I can forgive Classic Recreations for the fact that their hood latch isn't really functioning and it's on the secondary, or for the fact that there's some rub back there when you hit a bump from the rear tire, or the fact that these belts aren't really here for much but show. Because this car is awesome and I want them to make lots of them. What's it like to drive? Well, for one thing, it's fast. It's really fast. It weighs certainly less than a brand new Mustang with essentially the same amount of horsepower. So the power to weight ratio is excellent. Here, we'll take this corner at some speed. Yes. Look at that. Believe it or not, it's actually very confidence-inspiring going through a corner. It rides and drives really nice. Of course, there is no getting around the sound. It's obnoxiously loud. It's loud in here. It's even louder outside. Not sort of the modern rasp that you kind of expect from a new Mustang with an exhaust on it, which is the idea. It's got to make you more than just feel like you're driving a newer car. The senses have to come to life. For a situation like this, out on a windy road, maybe not the tightest of canyons, but a beautiful cruising road, this thing is great. However, not everything is perfect here. For instance, the brakes are made by Wilwood. I have never in my entire life used a set of Wilwood brakes that I liked. The pedal travel for the brakes is way too long. I gotta move the pedal about 8 inches before I get anything from the brakes, meaning heel towing is impossible. So I would never want to take this car on a racetrack. But I would love to go for a cruise in this thing all day, every day. It's got just enough 68 to make me feel special, and it's got just enough new to make me not hate driving it. But for years, people have been ragging on the Mustang, even the new ones, for not feeling modern enough because of that live axle. Well, for 2015, they have solved that problem, and we're going to see how well they've done.
I've brought along a 2015 Mustang GT, what some would call the first truly modern Mustang. You see, for the last 50 years, with only one exception, Mustangs have had a solid rear axle, which is great for drag racing and fine for smooth racetracks, but not so good on real roads, where a bump from one side affects grip at the other. An independent rear suspension allows you to confidently control the back end over bumps. In recent years, a Mustang keeps up with an M3 on a racetrack, while out in the real world, the M3 will be quicker, all other things being equal. Now, the waters have leveled even more.
This is a very important car for America. because the Mustang is sort of our every people's ambassador sports car to the world, isn't it? And so a lot of the rest of the world thought of the Mustang as relatively primitive. Thanks to the solid rear axle, everyone from Camaro people to M3 people to, well, all the rest of the sports car people that didn't drag race had a reason to knock the Mustang down a peg or two. They had done the best they could with the solid rear axle, but it was time for it to go eventually, and that time was now. Out of the box, it's extraordinarily impressive. The handling capabilities are really high. I've got P0 tires all around, and you can really just push it. Oh, there it is, bump on the exit, no problem for this car. When people talk about a car feeling modern, what they're really talking about is a composure. Older cars don't have it. They require this focus all the time. They can do it, but you have to work that much harder. This car makes it very, very easy. If the front starts to break loose, it's very progressive. If the rear starts to break loose, it's very progressive. It's super, super easy to control. And it's got some good stuff in it. I'm all about the cooled seats I have going on right now. I'm all about the shaker radio. I even like my Ford Touch. And it's got auto wipers and auto headlights and all the things that cars should have been having for a while now. My only real gripe with the GT is the clutch. The steering has decent feel for an electric unit. The accelerator pedal and brake pedal have very good feel. The clutch pedal has no feel. It's harder to rev match than a lot of the other cars I drive. I wish there was a way to dial a bit of feel into that clutch so I didn't have to keep my brain on clutch timing all the time and I could just focus on the other aspects of driving. But overall, Ford has done such a spectacular job with this car. There's very few little bits that are worth complaining about. I will finish it off with one solid piece of advice. If you have $35,000 and you want a really well-rounded, really well-appointed, really well-thought-out 4-seat coupe, it's hard to go wrong with this car. I can't think of any better car that you could buy new for this much money. There's a lot to like here. A lot.